Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to Biblio Fitness. Hope everyone's had a great day. So today I did want to discuss a very interesting section in the Dawn of Day, which is section 307, and it's talking about world history and historians, which I feel is quite interesting because I do like my history. So, or at least reading and hearing about it. So it is titled Facta, yes, Facta Fita. I'm going to read it quickly. It's not a very big, long section. Pause. Quote: The historian need not concern himself with events which have actually happened, but only those which are supposed to have happened, for none but the latter have produced an effect. The same remark applies to the imaginary heroes. His theme, this so called world history, what is it but opinions on imaginary actions and their imaginary motives, which in their turn give rise to opinions and actions, the reality of which, however, is at once evaporated and is only effective as vapor, a continual generating and impregnating of phantoms above the dense mist of unfathomable reality. All historians record things which have never existed except in imagination. End quote. Which is a very interesting one, because I feel like it kind of harkens back. I guess it's a logical conclusion if you take into account how we never really see the reality or the world for what it really is, but we try to provide commentary after the fact of whatever actions or whatever actions we took or whatever actions took place in order to vindicate or justify whatever biases we had to begin with. And I guess you could even, I mean, that makes sense when you talk about history, right? We never write exactly what happened. We are never completely disinterested in whatever we write. There's always going to be biases. And we're never going to really know the intentions of the individuals of which we are writing about, or reading about, or whatever, right? We're never going to know what was the outcome hoped for or why was it done for. We always look at history through 2020 hindsight, like commentary, moralizing the actions of individuals and never seeing them in its true grand scope, because like I guess it's the same thing that he has against psychology, is that once we start compartmentalizing, or once we start labeling things, it hampers our ability to look above and beyond, right? Because when you read history, or when you try to write history, when you read people that are talking about history, it's a very interesting point. When we look back on things, we never look at it for what they really are. We try to find an answer. Why did they do this? What was the point? And we try to think oh, if I was that person, this is what I would do. And in that connection, or in that thought itself, is the true essence of our selfishness, is to believe, or not even selfishness, my apologies, but arrogance, to believe, or we come at it with the assumption that we are intelligent, that we know everything, that we are the pinnacle, or we are the ones that set the standard of what is a good and bad decision. It's never a pure way of looking at history, and that's why you always have to look at things with a grain of salt. You can look at many historians, and you could see their biases screaming at you through the book. And one could say, is like, when have we ever really known history? Even when people do memoirs and autobiographies, you also have to take that with a pinch of salt as well, because they're also trying to vindicate something for themselves, and it's not like it's in time or in real time. They've been able to reflect, they've been able to look at the actions transpired and able to try to make a narrative out of it. And that's what we humans try to do, right? We have this narrative in our minds, we have these concepts or biases in our minds. We look at the world outside and we try to make everything fit and everything make sense in a way to vindicate what we have already. And we do that all the time, really. We really do. Like, what people say, I believe in ghosts, they go to an abandoned house, but the fact that they already believe in ghosts, or they're supernaturally inclined, they're probably going to believe in ghosts, because everything that happens around them is going to be used as a way to vindicate their pre predispositions or their preconceptions before they even allowed reality to unleash its will upon us, without us already having this commentary or this moralizing. You know, that's why, look at the world. We all have different truths. How is that even possible, considering that all our truths are contradictory, right? Or you look at history, you look at anything that's transpired, and you look at different events, and you look at different people, different perspectives, and they all go down to different conclusions. There's always a different reason as to why people did this. That's why, I feel like it's a very interesting point that Nietzsche has made, that there's always this myth that we're never touching reality when we look at this world history. Because there's always these narratives being thrown in. There's always this vindication of the church, or this, it was inevitable that this government or this leader or this era was going to come about, or what, or the Enlightenment or the Renaissance, and there's always these narratives. And does that make you very cynical? Yes, but it's pretty cool. That's why we really do always have to take things with a pinch of salt. And it's kind of, against what I'd like to do, which is read and talk about history. But even in that, I try to vindicate something, right? I try to philosophize. I try to psychologize. I try to see, like, what are the true actions? How would I act? And, what I'm saying? Like, there's never really that, we never really touched the real world. And I guess that's kind of interesting, the whole discussion of the phenomenon, noumenon world and stuff like that, even though we'll never touch the noumenon and whatever. No point in going down that rabbit hole. But, the fact, I just love how he says impregnating phantoms into the whole fucking thing. It's just so cool, man. And it's just a natural thing, because we always, when we write history, we always try to find a story, and we try to fit the story, or we try to fit in these variables and construct everything or events in a way to justify the hypothesis that we already had laid out. The facts, the conclusion comes before the facts. What I'm saying? The facts are used to justify the conclusion that you already had. And that's why we'll never really know history. We never see it because it's imaginary. It's pretty amazing. It's a pretty interesting observation. It makes it sound so obvious, but we never do that because we naturally trust people. We have to. It's something that we're always told. We're always honest, and you always have to take people at their word. And even if you didn't, you'd be in a constant state of you'd be petrified. Because you're constantly like, oh, is this person really, is this person really trying to say what they're trying to say, or they're trying to set me up, and you're just going to be stuck in place for all eternity. That's why it is kind of essential to narrow everything down, and most of the time have to take things at face value. But when it comes to world history, I think it's even more important to look at it cynically, to look at it when you read it and you're like, what's trying to get fit in here? Who is he going for? What are they trying to answer? What are they trying to justify and stuff like that? And there's always those questions that have to be made. There is no such thing as a disinterested pursuit of knowledge, So I just love how he makes that observation about world history. He does that every once in a while. But, the fact that I am a history buff, I feel like I have to talk about it. So that would be all for today. It's just, very concise. It's very to the point, talking about imaginary actions, imaginary motives. We'll never know what those motives are because we'll never be able to be in that time. It's like us trying to figure out what Pericles' actions were, what they were meant to do. It's like, how would we know? We're looking at these actions after the fact and through our lens of our modern era, of our modern moral sympathies or inclinations. How can we possibly know what these people thought? How can we possibly know what their intentions are? How can we possibly know what drives and what passions they had to go in, and how those passions try to find a way to exercise their will upon the world around them in that time period? we can only ever speculate. So, we're always going to be truly separated from how things truly happen, uh, which is unfortunate, but it's just another fact of life, right? You always have to be very mindful of what is trying to be served here when reading world history. It's awesome. So that'll be all for today. Thank you guys so much for watching and listening. Hope y'all make some beautiful gains, and till next time, love y'all. Peace.